What's up guys, your boy TFG Reacts. I'm back for another reaction today guys, and today we have another top 10 list, and this one's actually not by Watch Mojo, it's by VinnyTube, and this one was actually a personal request. It was by, I believe his name was Pudisraj. Sorry if I said your name wrong bro, but yeah. And this one should be an interesting one, because I've reacted to a couple of Fate Stay fights before, like about a year ago or something, so go check them out guys. And yeah, this one's by VinnyTube, and should be an interesting list. I've watched a couple of his videos, so he makes pretty good lists as well. So yeah guys, before we get into the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, as that really help me out guys. And without further ado, let's go.
An epic that combines modern settings and legendary heroes summoned from the past,
like said,
duking it out for the artifact known as the Holy Grail. I'm sure
really
you've
good.
guessed what franchise I'm talking about by now, haven't you? If you didn't, you need to hang out on the internet some more. With how popular the series has become, it's about time we have a video on the Fate series.
Yeah.
And what better
Some
topic
of
to
the characters
focus
look
on
really
than the
familiar.
fights? After all, a war for the Holy Grail's just as good as the fights that set the stage for the winner's coronation. On the other hand, who wouldn't want to take a trip down memory lane and relive some of the epic fights that Ufotable known for? Without further ado, here are the top 10 fights in the Fate anime series.
Rider versus True Assassin. Okay.
The first Heaven's
It's
Feel
already
movie
going in.
ends in a bang, giving us our first fight on the list, Rider versus True Assassin. As the film draws to a close,
That's
it
from the
seems
movie,
that Sabre's
okay.
master is doomed to suffer the same fate as many who cross True Assassin. Yeah, right, you'd think they'd kill the main character off. Surprisingly,
Of course
help
he's
is
not
on
gonna
its
die.
way. Just as Shiro's about to be finished off by True Assassin, Rider, of all servants, comes to the rescue. And this isn't the same Rider as the one that was easily defeated earlier in the movie. This time, she's faster and more powerful than her previous incarnation, and she puts on a show with her chains before forcing a retreat out of True Assassin. Just how did a servant that was so weak become the one to
Damn,
save our
she's
protagonist?
dragging him
It's anybody's
everywhere.
guess at that point, but those familiar with the story know that the answer is closer to Shiro than you would have expected.
Sending him flying. Okay, not bad, not bad. I reacted to this one, yeah, I remember this. This one's a good one.
Next up, we have Archer versus Lancer in Unlimited Blade Works. Everyone knows him for the jokes about him dying, but when you look at it from another perspective, Lancer's probably one of the strongest servants summoned in Fate Stay Night's Holy Grail War. He constantly falls victim to the biggest
he's
curse
really
in
strong.
anime while fighting, not being a main character. An even match battle quickly goes in Lancer's favor as he reveals that he is indeed taking it easy in their first confrontation. With all the shackles removed, Lancer proves to be without peer in combat, and Archer finds that out the hard way. Nevertheless, both combatants remain calm and collected as Lancer unleashes his noble phantasm, Gay Bolg. A full-powered Row IS barely protected Archer from the powerful noble phantasm. Maybe Gay Bolg secretly the most powerful noble phantasm in this war. Once you're hit by it, game over. The only way to survive it is to defeat Lancer beforehand. And speaking of defeating Lancer before he can use Gay Bolg...
Oh, that's even what happened. Oh, okay. Him again. True Assassin, okay. I'm gonna take him.
Next we have Lancer versus True Assassin. To be honest, I wouldn't consider this much of a fight, but more of a chase scene. A beautiful and cinematic chase fitting for a modern movie of the Fate franchise. Seeing a pattern with short, visually pleasing fights in Heaven's Feel, what do you think about it? The eye test shows that Lancer has the fight against True Assassin won in all regards. He chases True Assassin throughout the city, and he outmaneuvers and overcomes all that True Assassin throws at him. Even with superior combat abilities, Lancer fails to catch True Assassin in time, and is led to a confrontation with the shadow that's been haunting for Yuki City. Seeing the threat of this new enemy, Lancer attempts to use Gay Bolg, but is slain before managing to let loose the destructive noble phantasm. The fight is here to showcase the threat of the shadow and how a big player it is in the story. The look of disbelief on Lancer's face says it all. No way would True Assassin be able to defeat a servant of Lancer's caliber, but with the mysterious shadow by his side, masters and servants beware.
Literally took his heart out. Interesting. Shiro, Sabre, Rain. There was a lot of people in this one.
Our next entry is Shiro, Sabre, and Rin taking on Kozuki and Caster. This fight shows that while servants are the mightiest heroes of legend, you shouldn't underestimate masters in a fight. Kozuki's one master who's trained himself to fight on par with servants and shows his strength by taking on Sabre himself. It isn't Caster who manages to overpower Sabre, but her human master. Something like that's unheard of, and it just shows how amazing a combatant Kozuki's become. With that impressive showing against Sabre, taking down Rin wouldn't be much of a chore now, would it? So it's up to Shiro to save the day, and boy did he do it. He showcases his projection abilities in his attempt to save both Sabre and Rin. Well, creating Archer's blades doesn't really get the job done, but the ability does shift the tide of the battle a bit until Kozuki and Caster make their getaway.
Yeah, no, the animation, I keep on saying it, but the animation is really good on this. Also, the fight was cut in the way. Let's make sure that Sabre versus Lancer.
Fate Zero has the next great fight on the list, Sabre versus Lancer. This fight isn't the first to feature Sabre taking on Lancer in the Fate Zero timeline. Previously, Lancer always seemed to come out on top. However, the battles would always be interrupted, which results in a debatable draw. This time, Sabre and Iris Veal confront Lancer for the last time, hoping to finish the duel between the servants and finally decide a winner. The two servants exchange blows as equals, and we see how much Sabre values fighting with honor and a clear conscience. Unfortunately for her though, someone whose fate is tied to her doesn't share her ideals. Yep, that fight's cut short by Kiritsugu's intervention. He coerces K'Neth to use his command seal in order to force Lancer into committing suicide. With that, Lancer dies, cursing the Holy Grail, Kiritsugu, and the world. And it's such a shame that such a good fight ended in a tainted way.
I don't get it. Does
then
he
again,
die twice?
all's fair in love and war, and Kiritsugu's the embodiment of that saying.
Kind of confused. I've seen that character before.
At 5, we have Sabre Alter versus Berserker from the second Heaven's Feel movie. Midway through the second Heaven's Feel movie, Sabre Alter manifests and has none other than Berserker as her first opponent. It's a key rematch from the previous movie. This battle's big in a way that it shows how far Sabre in this new form has come. After losing to Berserker in the original movie as her previous self, Alter proves to be more than what Berserker and his numerous lives can handle. Few can have physically besting Berserker as a claim to fame, but Alter does it and more. Seemingly unscathed by the raw power of Berserker, Alter finishes the fight with her new version of Excalibur. Overall, the fight might not be that exciting or tense as the next ones that we have on the list, but it's a visual treat.
Yeah, look how good he looks. He's finished. He doesn't exist anymore. Who's this? I don't know who this is. I've heard of Gilgamesh. Oh yeah, it's
If there's a memorable moment in Fate Zero due to the sheer spectacle of it, this would be it. As the series approaches its end, we're treated to a final face-off between Ryder and Gilgamesh. After some words to his master, Ryder activates his noble phantasm and the fight's on. We once again get treated to the awesomeness that is Ionioi Hetairoi. Who could beat an entire army of soldiers forged by bonds and the spirit of the great conqueror? A red sword. That's what. Despite having his reality marble wiped by Gilgamesh's Enuma Elish, Ryder charges on. Enduring blade after blade from the gate of Babylon, Ryder's sheer willpower keeps him going. It's glorious for Ryder. Not a lot can force respect out of Gilgamesh, but here he's finally recognized as a worthy opponent to the King of Heroes.
So he dies. I've seen this fight. We have to do this one. Pretty good fight.
Opening our top 3 is Gilgamesh versus Shiro. Honestly, I'm tempted to put this fight higher just because of the sheer spectacle of it. This fight, in the climax, is largely one of the reasons why I like Unlimited Blade Works so much, even with the problems it has. After seeing how big of a Karma Houdini Gilgamesh ended Fate Zero as, it feels so satisfying to see him find his match in not the strongest of servants, but a boy who just really wants to be a hero of justice. Using Unlimited Blade Works, Shiro manages to match Gilgamesh's sword blow by blow. As he admits, this tactic would be useless against the mightiest servants, but against the arrogant king whose sword spams those he deems beneath him, this is the perfect counter. Shiro outmaneuvers Gilgamesh's onslaught and caps off the battle with his beautiful version of Ro-Ias. I'm sure that I'm not the only one who had goosebumps in this fight. Backed with, in my opinion, the best rendition of the Emiya theme jamming in the background, this fight is a must-watch. If you want something to convince you to watch Unlimited Blade Works, this is it.
Right in half. There we go. Oh. It's also about this. Archer versus Shiro. I think I reacted to this one as well.
In a close race for the top spot, Archer versus Shiro falls short in second place. They say your greatest enemy is yourself. That doesn't hit any closer to home for both Shiro and Archer. Being Shiro's future self from a timeline where he's grown embittered and cynical, Archer vows to take down his other self and break down the latter's details. What makes this battle so awesome is the fact that it's not a battle of strength. Come on, we all know Shiro's a capable fighter and that Archer's nowhere near the strongest servant in terms of raw power. But do you think that Shiro has any chance at all of defeating one of the most resourceful and versatile servants in a straight battle? Instead of a battle of strength, this battle is more a clash of ideals. Archer has the chance to quickly put an end to his young, naive self, but he refuses to do so. His enemy's not the boy in front of him, but the ideals that would soon turn that boy into the cynic that he knows. In the end, it's the stronger will that triumphed in this battle. Refusing to give in to Archer's taunts, Shiro holds his ground in his beliefs and grabs the victory that he should never have gotten.
Go on, finish it. Oh, of course.
Favorite fights in anime, period.
Oh, that's stinging. Damn, what happened?
And there we have it, the top 10 Fate anime fights.
Okay guys, so that wraps up the top 10 Fate series fights, and yeah, really good list actually. I can't really say much about the list because I haven't really watched the anime, so, but yeah, like I said, the animation clean, the fight scenes really, like, the way it builds up. I don't know, but I think it builds up really good, looking from my, like, if I remember from my reactions. And yeah, the fight scenes are really good as well, so yeah, it was a good list from VinnyTube, so thank you for recommending me this as well, Pudis Raj. And yeah, this wraps up this one, and I'll be reacting to a few more lists by him, I think, guys. So yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. Your boy TFG, peace.